We are on the 7th day of the novena. The feast of our patron saint is approaching. We need to prepare ourselves to receive many graces, because when the feast of a patron saint is celebrated, he pours out his blessings on his devotees, and he pours them out in abundance. And then we will receive as many graces as we are ready to receive. That's why it's so important to get ready for this day, spiritually. And today we want to meditate on a very important aspect of the life of our patron saint, not the main one, but certainly one that was always present in the life of Saint Bernard. And this aspect is that our patron saint was a poet. A poet is not just someone who writes poetry, but someone who knows how to use the beauty of things to love God better. When we say that Saint Bernard was a great poet, we are not only referring to his ability to write poetry, as he did, but also, and more importantly, to his relationship with the beauty of things as a way to God. Then he was able to see the beauty of God in created things. And when looking at this beauty, he was able to love God all the more. And that's a poet. And then we need to ask ourselves, why talk about poetry now? Why talk about poetry in a sermon, in a mass? Because indeed, poetry, this ability to find beauty, the appreciation of love, of beauty, is one of the paths that lead us best to God, who is absolutely beauty, who is beauty itself. And today, beauty is prevented, is obstructed. We cannot find beauty in many things that they should be beautiful, because people are destroying beauty. There is a war against beauty. Today there is a cult of ugliness, especially among the young, because the devil wants that instead of things radiating beauty, he wants to make them radiate ugliness. That is why there is so much ugliness in music, in dances, in the way people dress, in tattoos. Even gender ideology promotes ugliness. So it is important to meditate on this aspect of beauty in the life of Saint Bernard. And he was indeed a great admirer of the beauty of creation. And he said that he learned great and important things by looking attentively at the forests and mountains, going so far as to say that his teachers were the oaks, the trees. He knew how to see in nature the very work of God. And one of his biographers says that things were changed before his eyes, transfigured, because he looked at them with the eyes of God. And in order to find God in nature, it is necessary to be silent. And this is one of the things that modern man has lost almost completely. Silence. The person who does not know how to be in silence, who always listens to music, who always fills his imagination with images and videos, is a person who will hardly find God, who will hardly be able to listen to him. God speaks in silence, and only silence is able to express God. In addition to being a man who loved silence, Saint Bernard appreciated the beauty of the Catholic liturgy. Liturgy is all those rites and symbols that express the mystery of our redemption, especially during the Mass. And he was very fond of chant and communal prayer. He said that singing should be soft without being superficial, that it should delight the ear, but also move the heart. That's why it's so important, the music during the celebrations. And then we should also be like Saint Bernard, that is, know how to do beautiful things for God and know how to participate in the Holy Mass. We can say beautifully. That's why we always try our best to celebrate our liturgies, beautifully. Because that beauty also expresses God. The monks in St. Bernard's monastery, they knew very well that St. Bernard, the abbot, was very strict with the beauty of liturgy, with the music they will sing. And above all, St. Bernard sought the beauty of God in language. The ability to speak belongs only to man, and it is one of the most divine things we have. So St. Bernard spared no effort to speak well and beautifully. One author says that St. Bernard renounced everything except the art of writing well. He said we need to write well, beautifully. That is why he is known, as we mentioned yesterday, as the mellifluous doctor, because he wrote gently and sweetly, like honey. Today it is also necessary to imitate St. Bernard in this aspect, especially when they want to impose on us a culture that destroys our language. The so-called inclusive language is an attack not only on human reason itself, but also on God himself, who is the author of all beauty. Our patron saint was not only concerned with teaching doctrine, but he also considered it necessary to clothe it with beauty. It's senseless to teach the Catholic faith, but not to do it in a beautiful way, because people will not hear. That is why he worked and polished each text until it reached the ultimate perfection. During the last 5 years of his life, the old abbot, St. Bernard, in spite of all his commitments, took care to revise his major works himself, paragraph by paragraph, in order to prepare a revised edition, with the desire to leave to posterity writings whose beauty is lesson worthy of the mysteries of God. St. Bernard was a great poet because, and with this we finish, because he was a true lover. There is no poet without love. And his love was God himself. And God was his poetry. Whoever loves God knows how to do it beautifully and knows how to do great things for him. He knows how to do the ordinary with extraordinary enthusiasm. That's to be a poet, you know? To do the ordinary with extraordinary enthusiasm, to find beauty even in the smallest letters. One of the most famous books of mankind is the Divine Comedy, written by Dante Alighieri. We all know this book. The author makes a journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. But when he wants to reach the highest point of heaven, he realizes that he cannot do it unless he is helped by our Blessed Mother. And in order to ask for the help of our Blessed Mother, Dante Alighieri, he turns to Saint Bernard. Our patron saint thus plays a very important role in one of the greatest poetic works of all time. And there, facing the Virgin Mother, as Dante himself wrote it, Saint Bernard speaks to her with a sublime prayer worthy of a great poet. Maiden yet a mother, daughter of thy Son, high beyond all other, lowlier is none. Thou the consummation planned by God's decree, when our lost creation nobler rose in thee. Saint Bernard was known for his great poetry, for his art of writing and speaking well. But all this was not vanity or pomposity, but the result and consequence of his great love for God, the infinite beauty. We will ask this grace to love God also above all things, and we ask this grace from our Blessed Mother through the intercession of our patron saint, Saint Bernard.